Hello, everyone. My name is Jim Bohannon. I'm a member of the Society of Professional Journalists. For quite a few years now, it's been my honor and pleasure to serve as Master of Ceremonies at the annual awards dinner of the SPJ Washington, D.C. Pro Chapter. The dinner usually is held in early June at the National Press Club. This year, there's no dinner, no Press Club ballroom. The reason, of course, is that we are still just coming out of the restrictions caused by the coronavirus pandemic. But I'm told the DC chapter has booked space at the Press Club for next year, so here's hoping we will all get together in person in 2022. Even without all the fanfare of a live event, SPJ DC is still recognizing excellence in journalism. That's what we're going to do right now. With the names of the finalists and winners of our Dateline Awards, I am pleased to introduce SPJ DC President Randy Shostak and Chapter Board Member Jacqueline Fuller to present the awards for Best in Reporting in Newspapers and Magazines. The former Chairman of the Hall of Fame Committee and longtime member Steve Taylor to present the winners in television and radio reporting. The winners in newsletter trade publications category will be presented by C-SPAN weekend host and advisor to the George Washington University SPJ chapter, Jesse Holland. Haston Willis, the chapter's newest member and chairman of the National SPJ Freedom of Information Committee, will present the awards in the online category.
Thank you, Jim. I'm Randy Shostak, president of the Washington, D.C. Pro Chapter of the Society of Professional Journalists. I am proud to be here today with chapter board member Jackie Fuller, who's a freelance journalist and photographer. Before we get started, I want to give a big shout out and thanks to Jane Giles, who kept track of all the entries of this contest and made sure that the judges had all the material that they needed to make fair and good decisions. Also, I want to give many thanks to Corresponding Secretary Amy Fickling for supervising this giant undertaking for the chapter. And lastly, many thanks to the many people who volunteer their time and efforts to make this contest and all the other programs for the chapter possible. So let's get started. Jackie.
Thanks, Randy. We are looking forward to honoring the best of local journalism here in the Washington, D.C. area. So how about we get right to it? Washington, D.C. is not only the home of a lot of reporters and editors doing great work covering local news, it is also the home of correspondents from around the world. The Washington, D.C. chapter of the SPJ wants to make sure these visitors to our fair city are recognized for their work. In the Correspondent Award, which is presented for distinguished coverage of the Washington area published or broadcast outside of the Washington, D.C. area, the finalists are Ben Worman, Houston Chronicle and San Antonio Express News, Samantha Manning, Cox Media Group, Washington News Bureau, Jacqueline Pascatro, forgive me if I didn't pronounce that right, Gray Television, Washington News Bureau. And the winner is Mark Albert, Hertz Television.
Thanks, Jackie. Now let's look at the various categories for daily newspapers. For breaking news, the winner is Rachel Levy, Alexander Osipovich, and please excuse if I mispronounce that, and Jeffrey Rogow of the Wall Street Journal for Kodak's Busted Moment.
In the non-breaking news, the finalists are Miranda Spivak, Amy Powell, USA Today, public colleges hide donors who seek to influence students. Will COVID-19 make it worse? John Hisenroth, Justin Baer, Eric Moroff, The Wall Street Journal, How COVID is Reshaping Cities. Shen Wu Tan, The Washington Times, Virus Outbreak Delays Adoptions from China. And the winner is Rose Thayer from Stars and Stripes for The Search for Vanessa.
For Best Series, the finalists are Chelsea Ceruzo, Amanda Michelle Gomez of the Washington City Paper for The Clearing of a Homeless Encampment, and the staff of the Wall Street Journal for How America's Demographics Shaped the 2020 Elections. And the winner is Tara Kopp, Meta Veers, and Kevin Keister of the McClatchy newspapers for Female Military Pilots See the Next Barrier to Break, Getting More Black Women to Fly.
The finalists for features are Adam Bernstein, The Washington Post, Carl Reiner, TV comedy pioneer and probing straight man to Mel Brooks, dies at 98. Janet Adamy, The Wall Street Journal, Abortion, Guns, and Trump. Harrison Smith, The Washington Post. Once Virginia's lead executioner, he later lobbied against capital punishment. And the winner is Thomas Floyd, The Washington Post. A retired engineer's latest sculpture is a bicycle, back scratcher, and cookie dispenser all in one.
In beat reporting, the finalists are Stephen Dinan of the Washington Times for immigration reporting, and Ben Wolfgang, also of the Washington Times, for military reporting. And the winner, the Dateline Award, goes to Nancy Youssef of the Wall Street Journal for her Pentagon reporting.
The sports finalists are Andy Kostico, The Washington Times, Andy Kostico's sports portfolio. Adam Zilokina, The Washington Times, Adam Zilokina, sports and portfolio. And the winner is Matthew Paras, The Washington Times, Matthew Paras sports portfolio.
The winner for best infographic is the staff of the Wall Street Journal for Where Did the Biggest PPP Loans Go?
Under business reporting, we have finalists Ben Wolfgang, The Washington Times, pandemic shows militaries need to cut reliance on foreign suppliers. And the winner is the staff of the Wall Street Journal for The New Economy.
The commentary and criticism winner is Thomas Floyd at the Washington Post for reviews of the book, Memoirs and Misinformation, the audio play, Human Resources, and the outdoor production, Fannie Lou Hamer, Speak on It.
The investigative journalism winner is Brian Tao of the Wall Street Journal for How the U.S. Sidesteps Data Privacy Laws.
Front page design winner is Robert Cohn of the Washington Times for The Epilogue, Of All the Great Sports Flicks, and Crunch Time All-Timers.
Finalists for art photo illustration are Linus Garces, The Washington Times, for Best of Linus Garces Illustrations 2020. Alexander Hunter, The Washington Times, Best of Alexander Hunter Illustrations 2020. And the winner is Greg Grosh, The Washington Times, Best of Greg Grosh Illustrations 2020.
In the editorial cartoon category, Al Goodwin, Creators Syndication, Goodwin Editorial Cartoons, is a finalist. And the winner is Alexander Hunter of the Washington Times and Hunter Editorial Cartoons.
Now let us move to the award for weekly newspapers. For breaking news, the winner is Eric Falcuro and Sasha Polanco for Street Sense Media for poor and homeless people are included in the CARES Act stimulus, but will probably have to raise their hand to get it.
In non-breaking news, the finalists are Jake Mayer of Street Sense Media for Response to Protests Upends Daily Life for Homeless People Downtown, and Zach Cohen of the National Journal for Why Congress Hasn't Made Lynchings a Hate Crime, and Lou Chibarro Jr. of the Washington Blade for DC Study Documents Life and Death of Trans Woman Alice Carter. And the winner is Michael Pope of the Alexandria Gazette Packet for Interrogating Inequality.
Finalist for Best Series is Stacey Brown, The Washington Informer. 100 years after suffrage victories, Black women still carrying the torch. The winner is Avi Fafajai, Reginald Black and Julia Pini, Street Sense Media, How COVID-19 Affected DC's Homeless Community.
In the features category, the finalists are Judy Kurtz of The Hill for Getting Ready to Give Birth Amid a Pandemic, Kathy Wolf of the Washington Blade for Blind and Queer and Finding Community, and Michael Pope of the Alexandria Gazette Packet for Alexandria's Failed Experiment with Wards. The winner in the category is Lana Green of Street Sense Media for Two Homeless Residents Say DuPont Circle Neighbors Cleared Their Belongings When They Were Given an Airbnb for One Night.
Beat reporting finalists are Michael Pope, Alexandria Gazette Packet, Criminal Justice Reform Reporting, Anne Marie Kutsia, Avi Bapanjai, Eunice Sung, Street Sense Media, Employment and Income Reporting, Alex Coma, Washington Business Journal, Public Housing, DC Housing Authority Reporting. The winner, Zach Cohen, National Journal for Senate Reporting.
For sports coverage, the winner is Denise Dunbar of the Alexandria Times for His Long-Awaited Day in the Sun.
In business reporting, the finalist is Alex Coma, Washington Business Journal, covering the intersection of business and DC politics. The winner is Michael Pope, Alexandria Gazette Packet, Crashing Economy.
For commentary and criticism, the finalists are D. Kevin McNair of the Washington Informer for The Word According to Dominic, Andrew Dunbar of the Alexandria Times for Strokes, Bob Dylan, Gorillas, and Cody Mello Klein of the Alexandria Times for Her Name Was Joe. The winner is Joey DiGuglielmo of the Washington Blade for Album Roundup. Gaga just was so-so on new album Chromatica.
For investigative journalism, the finalists are Zach Cohen, National Journal, Inside's DC's Scramble to Set Up COVID-19 Contract Tracing, Alex Coma, Daniel Sersowitz, Washington Business Journal, a PPP double dip. Some of DC's biggest developers scored multiple loans to weather coronavirus crisis. Michael Pope, Alexander Gazette Packet, Disappropriate Policing. And the winner is Eric Falcuro and Kali Tansil Suda from Street Sense Media for What Can Happen When the Police Are Asked to Respond to a Mental Health Crisis in DC.
The front page design finalist is Livian Sieg of the Alexandria Times, and the winner is Cami Rude, Ben Cooper, TB Kadra, and Joseph Young at Street Sense Media for Homelessness and Gentrification Through the Eyes of DC Residents.
The feature photography winner is Anthony Talgman at the Washington Informer for the Washington National Cathedral's exhibit of doves symbolizing hope for the days and years ahead.
We had some excellent entries from the various magazines in the area. We would now like to present the awards in the magazine division. For features, the finalists are Tamara Little of the Arlington Magazine for Is Arlington Ready for the Next Flood? Jonathan Geyer of the American Prospect for How Biden's Foreign Policy Team Got Rich. Candace Montague of the Physiologist magazine for An Eye on Diversity. And the winner is Eric Hoover from the Chronicle of Higher Education for The Test of Our Tests.
The winner in beat reporting is Sean Donnan of Bloomberg Business Week for Left Behind.
In editorial opinion writing, we have finalist Dr. Xanthi Sharf from the Fuller Project with Time Magazine on why the coronavirus outbreak could hit women hardest. And the winner is Miranda Spivak and Lottie Joyner of the Crisis Magazine for Digital Redlining.
The winner for commentary and criticism is Andrew Cliven at CQ Magazine for his Common Defense columns.
Jonathan Geyer at the American Prospect is the winner in the investigative journalism category for his work, The Lucrative Afterlife of a Trump Official. That concludes the awards for newspapers and magazines. And now I would like to turn over the ceremony to longtime SPJ activist and former chairman of the Journalism Hall of Fame Selection Committee, Steve Taylor, to present the awards for the best in local television and radio.
Thank you, Randy, and thank you also, Jackie. Washington, D.C. has a lot of great journalists in radio and television. I am honored to present the awards for Best in Local Journalism in these divisions. I'll start with the Best in Television. In non-breaking news, the winner is Sue Kopenkachev at Maryland Public Television for Floyd Protest, Historic Ties. In the series category, we have finalists Rick Yarborough, Scott McFarland, and Steve Jones at WRC-TV for Forced to the Front Lines. The winner is the News 4 I-Team, WRC-TV, Fight for Transparency. For features, the finalists are Jody Fleischer, Katie Leslie, Jeff Piper, WRC-TV, Rescuerists, We Have to Stop the Dying. Jacqueline Policastro, Timothy Knapp, Gray Television, Washington News Bureau, A Horse's Journey from the Wild to the Army. Rick Yarborough, Scott McFarland, Steve Jones, WRC-TV, The Foster Care Crisis. The winner is Diane Roberts and David Berman with Montgomery Community Media Photography Staff, Montgomery Community Media for Black Artists of Montgomery County. In beat reporting, the winner is Adam Longo at WUSA 9 for Federal Employees Battle COVID-19 Policies. Adam Longo at WUSA 9 is also the winner for Editorial Opinion Writing. The finalists for investigative journalism are Jody Fleischer, Katie Leslie, Steve Jones, WRC-TV, Violating Searches. News 4 I-Team, WRC-TV, The Immovable Flag. The winner is Scott Taylor, WJLA-TV, ABC News. For WJLA-TV helps more than 5,000 viewers obtain unemployment benefits during COVID-19 pandemic. And now we switch to radio. The finalists in the breaking news category are Donna Cole, WNAV News Radio, Tornado hits Edgewater and Annapolis. Staff, WTOP-FM, Biden-Harris win. The winner is the staff at WTOP-FM for their coverage of DC protests. In non-breaking news, the finalists are Staff, WTOP 2020, the year of COVID-19. Tom Hall, Rob Sivak, Sienna Graves, WYPR, Midday Health Watch with Dr. Leanna Wen. The winner is Michael Pope at Virginia Public Radio for reporting on the incarcerated. In the category of series, the finalists are Jacob Fenston, Tyrone Turner, Carmel Delshad, WAMU, Portraits from a Pandemic. Kate Ryan, WTOP, COVID-19 Survivor. And WAMU's Affordability Desk, Money Talks. The winner is Daniela Cheslow, Donthea Price-Lisco, and Tyrone Turner, WAMU, for Black emergency doctors in Washington. The pandemic is personal. The finalists for features are Esther Chiamachilli, Jeffrey Katz, and Tyrone Turner at WAMU for George Washington's Mount Vernon highlights more stories of enslaved people. Michaela Lefrak, Gabe Bullard, and Tyrone Turner at WAMU for This DC Puzzle Company Won Over Customers and Oprah with its diverse characters. And the winning team is Daniela Cheslow, Martin Ostermule, and Tyrone Turner at WAMU for In Virginia, a Family Tragedy Stirs New Life in a Burial Ground for the Enslaved. Beat reporting finalist is Mitchell Miller, WTOP, for Capitol Hill coverage. The winner is Michael Pope, Virginia Public Radio, for coverage of the Virginia General Assembly. In business reporting, the winner is Michael Pope at Virginia Public Radio for unemployment in Virginia. The winner in the photography story category is Jeffrey Katz and Tyrone Turner, WAMU, for his daughter died of an opioid overdose, so he built a treatment facility in her name. Donna Cole, WNAV News Social Media, won the photojournalism category for her coverage of Black Lives Matter protesters. Feature photography winner is Tyrone Turner at WAMU for demonstrators peacefully protest at the U.S. Capitol. Congratulations again to all the finalists and winners. We at the DC chapter of SPJ salute you. Now let's turn over the program to the weekend host at C-SPAN and advisor to the George Washington University SPJ campus chapter, Jesse Holland, to present the Trade Publication and Newsletter Awards.
Thank you, Steve. Newsletters and trade publications have been a vital part of communication and remain a great place for journalists to provide in-depth reporting to an information-hungry audience. The DC SPJ chapter is proud to recognize the wide range of trade journals and newsletters that call the Washington, D.C. area home. Let's get started. In breaking news, the winner is Alexandria Carolyn from the Cancer Letter for #White Coats for Black Lives aims to lead to real change in oncology. In non-breaking news, the finalists are Teresa Agovino, SHRM Online, The Pandemic Imperils Working Mother's Career. Matthew Ong, Katie Goldberg, The Cancer Letter. First ever survey of leadership pipelines point to urgent need for more diversity at Elite Cancer Center. Adam Bender from Communication Daily. Communication Daily reports on COVID-19 and 911. And the winner is Jeremy Conrad with the Washington Lawyer for Qualified Immunity and the Path to Police Reform. In beat reporting, the finalists are David P. Larder, Defense News, coverage of the U.S. Navy. Kevin Borgardis, Sean Riley, Aria Wittenberg from E&E News, Inside the Trump EPA. And the winner is Corbin Heyer and Timothy Kama, E&E News, for Big Tech's influence on climate policy. For series reporting, the finalists are Alexandria Carolyn at the Cancer Center. What to expect: oncology's response to coronavirus in Italy. Alexandria Carolyn, Matthew Ong, and Paul Goldberg, The Cancer Letters for COVID-19 and Cancer, tracking the surge, early data, and treatments. And the winner is Aaron Mehta and Mike Gruss with C4ISRnet for their Legato coverage. Now, let's turn to features. The finalists in the features category are Deborah Bruno, Washington Lawyer, Esquire at Home, When Lawyers Go Remote. Teresa Agovino, HR Magazine. Companies try a new approach to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Honest Conversations. Natalie Kroc, SHRM Online, The COVID-19 Crucible. And the winner is Alexandria Carolyn and Jacqueline Ong, The Cancer Letter. Sexual harassment reporting structures in oncology are broken, The Cancer Letter survey finds. Let's move to business reporting. The business reporting finalists are Adam Bender, Monica Hogan, Jonathan Make, Communications Daily. Communication Daily reports on Frontier Communications bankruptcy. Jennifer Moss, SHRM Online, dealing with social isolation. Stephanie Overman from Virginia Business, Law and Disorder. Pandemic brings wave of cuts, new cases to law firm. And the winner is Susan Milligan at HR Magazine for How Should HR Handle Political Discussions at Work. Now, Let's move to the columns category. And the winner in the columns category is Paul Fletcher with Virginia Lawyers Weekly for his regular columns. Congratulations, Paul. Now let's move to editorial opinion writing. The finalist in editorial opinion writing is Stu Magnuson from National Defense Magazine, a hard look at the landmine issue. And the winner is Joe Gould at Defense News, a fake story about the Secretary of Defense stole my real byline. Let's look at investigative journalism. The finalist in investigative journalism is the team Lindsay Ellis, Jack Stripling, and Dan Bauman at the Chronicle of Higher Education for The New Order, How Hyperpartisanship Warped Higher Education in America. And the winner in investigative journalism is Maxine Joslow at E&E News for exclusive General Motors Ford knew about climate change 50 years ago. Let's look at front page design. In front page design, Brian Taylor at National Defense Magazine is a finalist, but the winner is Jennifer McNally at Virginia Lawyers Weekly. How about art photo illustration? The finalist in art photo illustration is Katie Goldberg from the Cancer Letter, Boundaries and Frontiers in Oncology. And the winner is, once again, Katie Goldberg. Katie Goldberg won the category for her work illustrating COVID-19 and cancer. Once again, an editorial cartoon winner, the winner was Katie Goldberg from the Cancer Letter for The Doctor's Plot, American Style. I want to congratulate all of the finalists and winners tonight. You do our profession proud. I will now turn over the presentations for online services to Hasten Willis, who's a freelance journalist and the chair of the National SPJ Freedom of Information Committee. He is also possibly the newest member of the DC SPJ chapter. He and his wife just moved to the Washington, D.C. area from Atlanta. Hasten.
Thank you, Jesse. Online news gathering and reporting continues to grow and play an important role in modern journalism. Today, we honor those whose stories are being told in online news outlets. In breaking news, our finalists are Sean Courtney of Bloomberg Government for Undocumented Migrants Face Fast Removals and Renewed Trump Push, Jennifer Jacobs of Bloomberg News for COVID Comes to Donald Trump's White House, and Travis Tritton of Bloomberg Government for Air Force Orders Seismic Shift for Pentagon Staff Teleword. The winner is Paul D. Shinkman at U.S. News and World Report for U.S. Kills Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. And I apologize for any names I get incorrect. I will do the best I can on that front. Congratulations to the category winner. In non-breaking news, the finalists are Daniel Newhouser of the Minnesota Reformer, the Georgia Recorder, NC Policy Watch, Mississippi Today, and Honolulu Civil Beat for investigative and campaign finance journalism. John Dunbar, Andrew Wallander of Bloomberg Law for Cops Legal Cover is in Question as states agonize over reforms. And Abby Bennett of Connecting Vets for Lower Your Shield, How Marines Are Defending Each Other in Their Deadliest Battle Yet. The winner is the University of Maryland's Howard Center for Investigative Journalism and Capitol News Service and HuffPost for Nowhere to Go. Congratulations to the winners in that category. The finalists for online series reporting are Maddie Alder, Allie Reed, and Holly Barker of Bloomberg Law for Zoom Courts, Bill Lambrecht and Gracie Todd of the University of Maryland Howard Center for Investigative Journalism for Saltwater Invasion, and Lydia Wheeler, Paige Smith, and Andrew Satter of Bloomberg Law for COVID Long Haulers. The winner is Jimmy Burgle of State Line for Risky Ride, How Impaired School Bus Drivers Endanger Children. For features, the finalists are Chris D'Angelo and Jimmy Tobias of HuffPost for Environmental Destruction Brought Us COVID-19. What it brings next could be far worse. We have Catherine Reynolds Lewis of Elemental for Autism is an Identity, Not a Disease, Inside the Neurodiversity Movement. and Jerry Bembry of The Undefeated for the untold story of the inmate who helped shape Malcolm X's future. The winners are Susan Ferris, Joe Gerardi, and Taylor Johnston at the Center for Public Integrity for their report, Hidden Hardship, Immigrant and Foreign Food Workers Toil and Die in Obscurity. In beat reporting, our finalists are Shira Stein of Bloomberg Law for shortages of personal protective equipment, Dave Leventhal and Darren Samuelson of Insider for investigating political money in the 2020 U.S. presidential election, and the staff of the Center for Public Integrity for Coronavirus Crisis, investigating the government's secretive and inadequate response to COVID-19. The winner is Dave Jameson at HuffPost for worker safety during the pandemic. Congratulations to Dave for winning that category. In sports reporting, our finalist is Jerry Bembry at The Undefeated for Two Hoops Prospects, A Dream and a Tragedy. And the winner is Justin Tinsley, also of The Undefeated, for John Vaughn and the Cost of Being a Michigan Man. In infographic, our finalists are Sean McGooey and Adam Martin of the University of Maryland Capital News Service for Blue Precincts in Republican Counties Help Boost Biden to Victory in Maryland. And the winner is Ben Gonzalez, also of the University of Maryland Capital News Service for The Legislative Legacies of the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor protests. Congratulations to the winners there. In business reporting, our finalists are the staff of the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists for Luanda Leaks, Rodney Brooks of Quartz Media for How Reparations Would Work, and Sam McQuillan of Bloomberg Tax for How Oprah and Walmart Scored Tax Breaks on Films that Others Made. The winner is the staff of the Center for Public Integrity for the COVID Divide. Congratulations to them. In editorial and opinion writing, our finalist is Janetta Rose Barras at the DCline.org for What is the Price of a Black Girl's Life? The winner is Mary C. Curtis with CQ Roll Call for her regular columns. In commentary and criticism, our finalists are Celia Wexler of NBCnews.com and Think for Coca-Cola's Tab Soda has been discontinued. Jonathan Geyer of the American Prospect for Trump's destructive legacy in the Middle East, and Celia Wexler again, this time for religionunplugged.com for Senate should question Amy Coney Barrett about her ties to people of praise. The winner is Lene O'Neill from The Undefeated for George Floyd's mother was not there, but he used her as a sacred invocation. In the investigative journalism category, our finalists are Daniel Newhouser of the Minnesota Reformer for his investigation into numerous ethics and staffing issues in the congressional office and campaign of Representative Jim Hagedorn. BuzzFeed News, the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, and more than 100 media partners for the FinCEN files. Lauren Camera of U.S. News and World Report for Whistleblower, Education Department killed website that made applying for loan forgiveness too easy. The winner is the staff of the Center for Public Integrity with Columbia Journalism Investigations, The State, News and Observer, and Centro de Periodismo Investigativo for Hidden Epidemics. Congratulations to them. And the art and photo illustration winner is Ruth Tam at DCist for In Illustrations, The March on Washington. The winner in the feature photography category is Tyrone Turner, also of DCist, for U.S. Park Police separate groups of Black Lives Matter protesters and Trump supporters near the Washington Monument as fireworks erupt overhead on July 4th. The editorial cartoon winner is Ruth Tam of DCist for Black Lives Matter coverage. The photo journalism category winner is Alejandro Alvarez of WTOP. And the photography story category winner is Ray Lopez from Eater DC for capturing the scene at DC's outdoor-only restaurant. Once again, congratulations to all the finalists and winners. Your hard work and dedication to our great profession are very much appreciated. And now I will hand things back to Jim Bohannon for some final awards and closing comments.
And then picking up after they do all of their things. Our thanks to each of these dedicated volunteers to the SPJ for making these presentations. The SPJ DC added a category for blogs in recognition of the impact this new form of news delivery has on society. The winner this year is Donna Cole from WNAV News for her Annapolis Creative blog. It is now my pleasure to present the Robert D.G. Lewis Watchdog Award, which goes to the Dateline Awards entry that best exemplifies journalism aimed at protecting the public from abuses by those who would betray the public trust. The award comes with a $1,000 prize. And the winner is Eric Falcaro, Street Sense Media, for What Can Happen When the Police Are Asked to Respond to a Mental Health Crisis in DC. This story began when Falcaro was at the June 20th, 2020 Black Lives Matters demonstration in Washington, D.C., and witnessed the police detaining a homeless, mentally ill man. What began as a simple stay-away order spiraled into much more, with Falcaro chronicling each element of a much larger story. An awards judge said this was real reporting. Falcaro saw an incident that some might consider a sidebar, and most would have ignored, but he paid attention and then followed what happened after. He talked to people on all sides of the mental health, policing, justice, housing, and social services systems, and examined this from almost every angle. Now, this is investigative reporting. Hats off to Street Sense Media for publishing this journalistic probe into the need for better coordination of mental health resources with policing. And in a rare move, the contest judges asked that an honorable mention to the Lewis Award be given to another entry in the investigative journalism category, Hidden Epidemics, submitted by the Center for Public Integrity with Columbia Journalism Investigations, the State, News and Observer, and Centro de Periodismo Investigativo. These online articles covered a massive scope of ills brought about by climate change. Each article contained compelling writing that made this reader want to go on and learn more, noted one judge. Once again this year, several aspiring journalists from this area hoping to pursue careers in journalism were selected to receive scholarship assistance for the 2021 to 2022 academic term from the Sigma Delta Chi Foundation of Washington, the educational arm of SPJ DC. The scholarships totaling $20,000 are funded with additional support from the Gridiron Club and Foundation, and with individual gifts to SDX DC from Journalism Education Advocates. The scholarship recipients were selected by a committee of journalists from a pool of area students who applied for the scholarships. Finalists were interviewed by the panel and questioned about their aspirations, journalism ethics, the First Amendment, and related topics. The scholarship committee was comprised of Reginald Stewart, Frank Quine, Darlene Superville, Evelyn Sue, Amy Fickling, and John Henry. The 2021 to 22 SDX DC scholars are Amanda Hernandez, who will be a junior at the University of Maryland, will receive $6,000 from the foundation. The scholarship is funded in large part by the Washington Gridiron Club in recognition of veteran journalist B.J. Cutler, who spent years with the Scripps Howard newspapers and International Herald Tribune. He also served for years as a member of the Gridiron Club and Foundation. Included in Ms. Hernandez's scholarship is $1,500 given by Foundation Scholarship recipient Ira R. Allen. Ms. Hernandez is working on a double major at Maryland, multi-platform journalism with a focus on investigative projects, and information science, specializing in data science. She has worked as an intern at USA Today's Washington Bureau and with Pittsburgh Public Source, an online newsroom for which she updated pandemic data graphics and fact-checked stories and assisted reporters with special projects. Ms. Hernandez is assistant news editor and senior staff writer at the Diamondback, the University of Maryland student newspaper. In 2019, she founded La Voz Unida, a student-run bilingual newspaper, which she now edits. Also receiving scholarships, picking up. Also receiving a scholarship is David Marino, who will be a senior at Marymount University in Northern Virginia. He is majoring in communications and plans to work in broadcast journalism. This fall, 2021, Mr. Marino will become managing editor at The Banner, the student newspaper at Marymount. Mr. Marino impressed the Foundation Scholarship Committee with his desire to inform readers or viewers about life in Latin America and how the people from that region view various issues affecting them and people in the United States. While living in Honduras in 2012, David and a brother were taken hostage during a robbery attempt by one of his father's employees, a police officer who worked part-time as a taxi driver for the Marino's taxi firm. David and his brother were released unharmed after about 2 hours. The foundation also is awarding financial assistance to Gabriel Pietro Razio, who will be in his second year of studies for a master's degree in journalism at the University of Maryland. He received a BA in political science and American studies from Hobart College in 2020. Mr. Pietro Razio spent a year studying in the Netherlands on an honors program in spring of 2018. He carries a 3.9 grade point average at Maryland. Awarding our basic scholarship to a graduate student drifts us from traditional practice of focusing on undergrad students. Pietro Razio is used to running against the wind. Of the handful of applicants, he meticulously dotted the I's and crossed the T's and demonstrated throughout his application he was an exception for several reasons. As we dug deeper during this chaotic season, we figured a way to work by the rules and at the same time offer him a modest gesture of support. Since December 2020, Pietro Razio has worked as an intern for the National Press Foundation, a position that he will work full-time over the summer of 2021. At the same time, he has been covering stories out of Washington for FingerLakes1.com, a news website in Seneca Falls, New York. He has also been freelancing for Civil Eats, a nonprofit web-based news outlet founded in 2009 to cover the American food industry. With a final word of congratulations to all of our honorees, we now conclude our awards presentation for 2021. This program was produced and directed by SPJ DC Treasurer Dan Kubisky. I'm Jim Bohannon.